Jake, we talked a little bit about the offensive side of the ball and the guys at the Senior Bowl. Let's switch sides of the football and talk defense. And there's a couple of guys that have looked pretty good up front, some big guys in the middle of that defense, tackles.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, the Browns situation. They've expected to get more out of Larry Ogunjobi over their time with him in the last 3 years. His rookie year was probably his most impactful year. The last 2 years, he's been a bit of a letdown. So Sheldon Richardson is their anchor there. The three technique, they're looking for somebody else probably to challenge or take that first the role as the one technique that Larry has not really anchored or been an effective player at, and he's heading into the last year of his rookie deal. So while there are a couple guys like Derek Brown out of Auburn, who's a top 10 talent on the interior defensive line, I would be pretty surprised if they entertain that idea at that pick. But if they did happen to move down, maybe trade pick 10 for something like 23 and 28 or something like that, or an early second. That's something that they could potentially do if you accumulate picks there. They could look to add a first-round talent type as a defensive tackle. Two guys that catch my eye. First is Javon Kinlaw out of South Carolina, plays very good interior technique. He can get after the quarterback. I think he's had 10.5 sacks in his career. Effective, using his hands, dip, rip, club, swim, those things he's really good at. Good first step off the ball. Has been an impactful player over the last 2 years and plays with a good low center of gravity. Big guy, 6'6", well over 300 pounds. I think 310, 315 area. He might weigh in a little more than that. Try to run a good 40, but he's an interesting prospect to keep your eye on. And then Neville Gallimore, the kid out of Oklahoma, who I think is a really interesting prospect too. Oklahoma doesn't get a ton of love for their defense, but Gallimore is a guy, even though he's a little undersized, about 6'2", 300 in terms of the height, length that you want on your interior. He's been an impactful player, especially in the run game for Oklahoma. Gets after the quarterback well enough, but is a nice run game player. Has caused a couple fumbles each over the last 2 years. Very active hands. Change of direction is solid. So if they're looking for somebody to sort of offset Sheldon, give another third body, I think those two are really fascinating interior players if they're looking in that late first, early second type range.